Have you ever thought about what happens to a soul that never takes its first breath? A life that starts but never goes anywhere. Some people call it fate. Some people call it a tragedy. But what if it was something completely different? Mystics say that no soul ever comes into this world by chance. Every birth, even the ones that don't happen, is part of a divine plan that is so big that our minds can barely see it. But there is a mystery, older than time itself, in the silent tears of miscarriage. A mystery that hints at decisions made before birth, promises broken, and lessons that last for many lives. Edgar Cayce once said that the soul is not tied to the body, and that the body is just a dress that the spirit tries on for a while. But what happens to that soul when the thread of life is cut too soon and the garment never fully forms? Does it stay close to the mother's heart, still longing for the warmth it almost felt? Or does it quietly go back to the higher realms with a piece of unfinished purpose? When we lose someone, something we can't see happens. Grief opens a door between two worlds, one of form and one of essence. And through that door, the mother and the unborn child keep doing their sacred dance of karma and reunion. Maybe they have danced together before. This might not have been the end of their journey. It could have been just a break in a journey that started long before either of them could remember. To get to the bottom of this holy mystery, we need to go beyond the veil of sadness and the limits of science and into the place where spirit and destiny meet. People have been trying to figure out why some souls come into this world only to leave before they take their first breath for hundreds of years. From ancient mystics to modern clairvoyants, each has tried to answer the same painful question: why does life sometimes end before it starts? In spiritual philosophy, birth is not arbitrary. People think of it as the next step in a soul's long journey through different levels of existence, where it learns, balances, and comes back home. This view says that the physical world is just one of many classrooms. So a miscarriage is not a failure of creation. It is a time when a soul's lesson goes in a different direction. It is possible that the experience of loss, rather than life itself, constituted the predetermined nexus between two souls. Edgar Cayce described reincarnation as a rhythmic cycle in which souls select new bodies, families, and experiences based on their learning or healing needs. There are times when a soul gets close to being born, but then changes its mind because it knows the time or conditions aren't right. Other traditions say the same thing, that some souls come close only to leave again, like a wave that touches the shore before going back into the sea. In this context, miscarriage is both very human and very cosmic. The mother's sorrow is genuine, profound, and sacred, but there is an ancient agreement hidden beneath it all. A karmic connection between two beings that death cannot break. The loss of life, while terrible, is part of a bigger plan that the human mind can't easily see. We need to turn off the noise of logic and enter the silence of the unseen to see the first spiritual layer of this mystery. Think about this for a moment. Before birth, there is a bright place where souls gather like stars between lives. This holy place is where decisions are made with divine clarity, not in a hurry. Souls meet, talk, and agree on what they will do together in the next life. Every joy, every sorrow, and even the shortest meeting is chosen to help you grow. In this bright place, one soul can come up to another and whisper, "Will you take me into the world, even if only for a moment?" And the other might say, "Yes." Even that moment will wake up something eternal in both of us. These are not words of pain, but of holy promise. These kinds of agreements, made with a higher level of awareness, are often what lead to a miscarriage. Sometimes the deal is not to live a full life, but to touch life for a short time and then come back. The first spiritual layer tells us that the beginning and end of life are not two separate things, but one vibration. Conception is not just a biological spark. It is a cosmic alignment. It is a sign that a certain soul's frequency has found resonance in the mother's energy field. But if that resonance weakens or changes, the soul may slowly pull away, like a melody that fades away. not rejection. It's all about timing. The soul knows that growth, both its own and the mother's, may need a break instead of continuing. This is the first truth. A miscarriage does not mean losing a soul. It means delaying the body. The soul stays behind, watching and waiting, and for a while it is still connected to the mother's aura. Many women have talked about having dreams after losing a child. In these dreams, the child stands in light, smiles, and says nothing but radiates peace. Is it possible that these dreams are not just made up, but memories? A short goodbye between two energies that care deeply for each other? The answer might not be what you think. Souls in the unseen world don't talk to each other with words. They talk to each other with energy, vibration, and purpose. The connection between the soul and the physical body ends when a pregnancy ends, but the spiritual thread stays strong. The mother's sorrow, though profound, serves as the conduit for healing and karmic comprehension. This first layer, then, asks us to look at miscarriage not from a biological point of view, but from an eternal point of view. The soul says, "Not now, but soon," and the spirit whispers to us that every loss is preparation and every ending is an unseen beginning. Let's go deeper. Under this first veil is something even more mysterious. The reason these souls come back and how their unfinished stories continue to weave through time. When we remove the next veil, the mystery gets deeper. This is where the spiritual logic of karma starts to show its quiet structure. Many teachings say that a miscarriage is not a random break in fate, but rather the echo of choices made long ago. Threads that weave through many lives, binding souls in agreements that are not seen. What seems like a tragedy in one life could be a gentle way to make up for a promise that wasn't kept in another. Think of a mother and child who used to be close in a time long ago. The mother may have left the child behind, or the child may have left too soon, leaving the mother with a heavy heart. In the soul's eternal rhythm, these kinds of imbalances need to be healed, not through punishment, but through coming back together. So in another life they might meet again. The child's soul comes back, not to live a full life, but to give the mother a brief vibration that brings back feelings of compassion, forgiveness, or acceptance that she had lost. Could it be that what we call a miscarriage is sometimes a soul's act of grace? A short visit meant to finish an emotional cycle that hasn't yet finished? The answer might not be what you think. In the unseen world, karma is not debt like we think of it. It is harmony trying to get back to where it was. The universe doesn't punish. It makes things right again. And in this fragile readjustment, every tear shed in sorrow becomes a note in the grand symphony of divine order. The soul that leaves early does not disappear into nothingness. It goes into what some traditions call the waiting sphere, which is a place between places where purpose is looked at, not erased. After that, the soul can choose to go back to the same parents, maybe in a different body or at a different time. A lot of mothers say that after years of miscarriage, when they gave birth again, they felt a strange sense of familiarity in their newborn's eyes, as if an old promise had finally been kept. Was it the same soul coming back, this time ready to stay? This is often called the circle of unfinished incarnations in spiritual readings. Every connection between souls has a purpose. Some are meant to last forever, while others are only meant to last a heartbeat. But every meeting leaves a mark, an exchange of energy that affects both spirits and the lessons they take with them. In this sense, a miscarriage doesn't mean the end of a life. It means the continuation of a shared evolution. And what about the balance of karma? Who is carrying it? The mother, the father, or the unborn child? Cayce's readings say that karma is never separate from anything else. It flows like water, with everyone who is part of the experience sharing, spreading, and taking it back in. The mother learns love through loss. The father learns compassion through feeling helpless, and the soul learns how to wait for the right time to come back. It is here we begin to see miscarriage not as cruelty, but as a form of sacred timing, when destiny whispers, "Not yet." The physical body may not be ready. The circumstances may not align, or another soul's path may need to intersect first. And so, the spirit withdraws, trusting that divine order knows the right moment for everything to unfold. There are stories, ancient and modern, of mothers who claim to feel a presence years after a miscarriage, a gentle brush on the cheek, the sound of a child's laughter in a dream, a sudden sense of warmth while alone. These moments are not hallucinations. They are reminders. Death and distance can't break the bond. The soul, even though it can't be seen, stays close to the person who carried it until they are both ready to meet again. But what if the karmic link is even stronger? What if the soul's short time on earth was not just for the mother's growth, but for the growth of all people? Could it be that many souls are teaching us empathy, unity, and surrender through the universal experience of loss? These are lessons that our species needs to learn in order to grow. Let's go even deeper. There is something even deeper than karmic balance, a revelation that makes us question everything we think we know about love, death, and fate itself. At some point in every spiritual journey, knowledge changes into feeling. This is when the theory of karma and the poetry of souls become something much more personal. This is the time. The mystery of miscarriage is not only written in the stars, it is also written in the hearts of those who have gone through it. Imagine a woman sitting quietly after a loss. The house is quiet. The world keeps going, but for her, time has stopped. She has a void that words can't fill, and yet something flickers in the quiet. A presence, soft and gentle like a soft breath on her spirit. She can't see it, but she can feel it. A familiar warmth that says, "I'm still here." Many people who have lost someone describe a moment like this, not through their senses, but through their souls. They talk about dreams where the child is surrounded by light and smiles, with eyes that look older than time. Some people say they hear their name in a soft voice when no one is around, or feel waves of peace after months of feeling hopeless. Could these be hallucinations of grief, or echoes of a love that won't die? The answer might not be what we think. Love in its most basic form doesn't end with death, it grows. It goes beyond the limits of the body, reaching through veils and across lifetimes. In this way, miscarriage is not the end, but a bridge, a sacred meeting between two souls who have promised to help each other wake up. Sometimes the truth comes to us not through mystical visions, but through quiet realizations. A mother who used to feel guilty starts to feel that her child's soul is still there, safe and growing, watching and waiting. She can feel herself changing. Compassion eases her pain, and wisdom takes the place of her anger. She starts to realize that she might not have been punished. She might have been chosen to make room for a soul that only needed a little bit of earthly love before moving on. Is it possible that some souls never meant to stay on earth for long? That their only goal was to start healing in other people and make people aware of how deep love, grief, and spiritual connection can be? People say that when these souls leave early, their energy spreads out and gently guides the hearts they leave behind. They become teachers who can't be seen, teaching compassion to those who are sad about them. In the quiet that comes after revelation, when the tears have dried and the heart starts to hear instead of ache, the deeper truth of miscarriage comes out, not as punishment, but as purpose. Cayce believed that every soul chooses exactly when and how to enter and leave the world. There are no mistakes in the tapestry of the soul. There are only lessons, some of which are whispered and some of which are burned into us. So, what is the warning? It is subtle but deep, that grief, if held too tightly, can keep the living soul in shadow and the dead soul in longing. When a mother holds on to guilt or self-blame, she unknowingly keeps the gentle energy that wants to rise down. But when she lets go of her pain and gives it to love, saying, "Go, my child, I will see you again," a door opens. The child's spirit moves freely, and the mother's spirit becomes lighter, clearer, and more awake. Cayce suggested that people who go through such loss often agreed to it before they were born. These moments are not cosmic errors, but sacred agreements, where one soul consents to briefly enter, to evoke compassion in another. The soul says, You will know me not through years, but through change. This kind of understanding brings a peace that words can't describe. It changes despair into gratitude and loss into a new beginning. But the understanding goes even deeper. For miscarriage, in its unseen realm, also reflects humanity's collective struggle with attachment and divine timing. We want to be in charge of life, from the beginning to the end, but the spirit world moves in ways we can't understand. Cayce talked about the law of balance, to remind us that the soul can't be forced into the world before it's ready. Every delayed birth and every loss endured encapsulates the principles of karma and the cadence of evolution. So, the warning isn't about punishment. It's about misunderstanding. We are told not to think of death as a thief, but as a teacher. Not to judge what we don't remember yet. For beyond the veil, the child who never cried is still there, learning, growing, and waiting to be with you again. And maybe that's the best thing to know. Love doesn't end when you breathe. That every soul that has died too soon is still with us, silently helping us grow, whispering through our intuition and shaping our future from places we can't see. In this way, miscarriage is not the end, but a sacred journey that reminds us that we are never alone, even in loss. So the warning is simple but always true. Don't let your grief blind you to the miracle of continuity. Every life, no matter how short, is a thread in the divine pattern, woven with purpose, bound by love and destined to return. So now we go back to where this journey started, the silence, the pain, and the questions that never get answered after a loss. But something has changed inside of us. What once felt like an unbearable wound now starts to look like a hidden door, a way for the soul to see eternity. Cayce's words remind us that no spirit is ever lost and no love is ever wasted. What looks like an end in this world is often the start of a higher chapter written in the language of the divine. We can almost feel them, the kind souls who came and went too soon, surrounding us in light that we can't see. They are still here. They have just changed. In quiet times, in sudden peace, and in the small, unexplainable warmth that fills the heart without reason, their presence stays with us. That is what they are saying. I'm still here. You didn't let me down. We will see each other again. Maybe this is what it really means to grow, to know that love is the only thing that can measure the spirit's journey, not time or form. Every loss calls for awakening. Every heartbreak makes us more compassionate. The universe, no matter how strange it may seem, always has a reason for doing things. When you look at sadness through the eyes of your soul, it becomes holy. Take a deep breath and let peace take the place of pain. Know that the child you are grieving, the life you are questioning, and the path you are trying to understand are all part of a bigger plan that goes beyond this moment. As Cayce often said, the answer is in the soul's memory of where it came from. As we end this reflection, let your heart rest in this truth. Love never dies. Every soul we've ever loved is still with us, guiding, teaching, and waiting in the light. There are still more mysteries to solve, more secrets about the soul to learn, and more things to find out. Stay with us and subscribe if you want to keep going on this journey beyond the veil to find what is hidden. The next thing you learn could change how you see everything.